Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. We're getting things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are ticking lower this morning, with S&P futures down 0.23%, Dow futures down 0.31%, and NASDAQ futures down 0.05%. Bond yields have climbed in pre-open as traders await inflation data and a treasury auction and corporate earnings to assess the market outlook. The 10-year U.S. benchmark yield moved back down toward 1.7%. The Federal Reserve, having signaled it's prepared to let the economy run hot to guide the rebound from the pandemic, leads some anticipation for the consumer price index numbers coming out at 8:30 a.m. Around the world, fund managers are now seeing inflation and higher taxes as bigger risks than the coronavirus, according to the latest Bank of America Corp survey. While policymakers at U.S. Central Bank expect a bump in consumer prices to be short-lived, many traders disagree, with fears of faster CPI playing out across duration-heavy assets from bonds to tech stocks. Over in Europe, markets saw mild gains with retailers, travel companies, and miners leading the way. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Shane, I've been watching the S&Ps all morning long, and I see them, and they've been flat. They've been flat to up 0.01% to down 0.01%. Then that Johnson & Johnson news came at 7 a.m. New York time, and that just cratered the S&Ps, and that's why we're showing some weakness, and we're displaying some weakness this morning. This inflation reading that's coming this morning from the CPI figures that are going to be released, this is going to be big, and it's going to be a big number that people are watching. The consumer prices are expected to have jumped 2.5% in March from a year earlier. So this is going to be the catalyst, I think, that's going to really be driving the market today. Tomorrow we got earnings from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and a slew of other companies. So, really kicks off the earnings season. So you're going to see some volatility in those names today as well.
Well, moving into our earnings to watch today, Bill, what are we seeing as far as earnings go?
Well, let's talk about what has come out. Ticker FAST, F-A-S-T, Frank, Apple, Sam, Tom. These guys reported EPS of 37 cents. Which is exactly in line with the expectations of 37 cents. The revenue here was a little light. They came in slightly lower, but it wasn't a horrible report. But I do look at the stock, and it is trading lower by 3.3% this morning.
Any insights as far as upcoming earning announcements?
Let's start off with the banks. You got Goldman that's priced for a 2.25% move when they release tomorrow morning. The one thing that kind of bothers me here is the open interest. It's showing a 0.73 call put ratio. It's not positive, but everything else looks good, but that call put ratio bothers me. JP Morgan, they're priced for a 3.6% move when they release tomorrow morning. Let's talk Lovesac. That's ticker LOVE. They're priced for a 13% move when they release tomorrow morning. I'm a little concerned there that they might not be able to reach the elevated expectations that are out there for Lovesac. And Delta Airlines, ticker DAL, David, Apple, Larry. They're priced for a 2.8% move. Now, here's the deal. On March 15th, Delta Airlines said that it now expects its revenue results to be revenue results in the March ending quarter would be near the pessimistic end of a previously issued guidance range, despite improving trends in bookings. Look at what UAL said yesterday, United Airlines. They expect first quarter revenue declines to be 66% year over year. The question that I have in my mind is this priced into the stock, or will be the outlook of future revenue be enough to make these stocks move higher tomorrow when Delta at least releases their earnings? So you got to pay attention to DAL. It's likely that they'll sell off at first and then be able to bounce back a little bit. So that's ticker DAL coming out with earnings tomorrow.
Well, moving into our economic reports, Bill, what are we seeing as far as reports go?
The hot one, CPI, Consumer Price Index, 8:30 a.m. It's coming out. 8:55, we got the Johnson Red Book on retail sales. Got a lot of Fed speak. There's a conference going on. So at 12 o'clock, we're going to be hearing from Philadelphia Fed Bank President Patrick Harper, Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin, Kansas City Fed Bank President Esther George, and San Francisco Fed Bank President Mary Daly. And also later this afternoon, you're going to hear from Atlanta's Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic.
Moving into our morning's critical insights, starting things off with one on Johnson & Johnson, ticker JNJ. The company's dropped over 3% in pre-market after the CDC and FDA recommended a pause in the use of its vaccine after reports of 6 U.S. cases of rare and severe blood clots in individuals after receiving the vaccine. In contrast to J&J, Moderna, ticker mRNA, has ticked higher this morning, up 5.85% in pre-market in light of the news on the competitor vaccine. And in other news on COVID-19 solutions, Rigel Pharma, ticker RIGL, announced positive top-line results from its phase 2 trial to evaluate the safety of its oral SYK inhibitor for the treatment of hospitalized COVID victims. The treatment met primary endpoints, and the company is in plans to discuss emergency use authorization with the FDA. Rigel's share price is up 11.97% in pre-market. News on Bally's, ticker BALY. The company set to acquire Tropicana Las Vegas from Gaming and Leisure Properties, that's ticker GLPI, for $308 million. Other news on Bally's is that the company has agreed to combine with Gamesy's Group, ticker JKPTF, giving them a combined value of $2.78 billion. Bally's share price is down 3.78% in pre-market. In other news, Cardalytics, ticker CDLX, is set to acquire the consumer data platform Bridge for $350 million. In other news, Israeli chipmaker Valens is said to be in merger talks with PTK Acquisition, that's ticker PTK. The SPAC is seeking to raise $100 million or more in new equity to support a transaction set to value the company, the combined entity, at $1 to $1.2 billion. PTK's share price is down 1.51% in pre-market. In other news, Grab Holdings, which is a Southeast Asian online food delivery, ride-hailing, and digital wallet payments company, is set to merge with Altimeter, ticker AGC, for a combined equity of $39.6 billion. The transaction will provide Grab with $4.5 billion in cash proceeds. The combined companies are expected to trade under the ticker GRAB on NASDAQ. Altimeter's share price is up 8.53% in pre-market. The last one for me is on Dr. Reddy's, ticker RDY, which the company has received emergency use authorization to import its Sputnik vaccine into India. Dr. Reddy's share price is down 3.36% in pre-market. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Well, Shane, I break my news alerts down into specific sectors and for specific events. I capture these news, and these news alerts are based on metadata. They're based on keywords. They're based on industry segments. I catch things when they break, and that's really the key. Let's talk about my FANG alert. And let's start off with a bill that's being announced. It's coming out of Washington, D.C., where the Missouri senator is announcing a bill that's entitled Trust Busting for the 21st Century Act. Now, this would allow the FTC to bar any dominant digital firm from buying potential rivals. The bill's basically targeting Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. So we got to be clear on that one. Here's one on Apple. Now, I love this one. This is great. Their digital assistant Siri announced that Apple is planning an April 20th event in which they expect to unveil their new iPad Pro models and possibly AirTags trackers. I find that really to be interesting that it came over Siri. Amazon, ticker AMZN, they have launched a new private label food brand. Plenty is what it's called. And it's going to include snack food items, pita chips, crackers, mini cookies, as well as condiments, frozen foods, and various pantry staples. Netflix, I see that Cowen came out and they're saying that the recent password sharing crackdown, which Netflix did, is highly likely to lead to additional subscribers and subscriber growth. And I could see that happening. That makes a lot of sense. Dow Jones 30, my Dow Jones 30 alert. Let's talk 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturing. Great company for the long term, but I see that Deutsche Bank came out this morning and they're calling 3M a catalyst call for a sell idea. So they're looking to be selling shares of 3M, so you might be able to see some weakness there today. Honeywell, that's ticker HON, Harry, Oscar, Nancy. Deutsche Bank also called this one a catalyst buy idea. That came out this morning. Intel, that's ticker INTC. They're reportedly in discussions to manufacture chips for car makers within 6 to 9 months. I mean, this sounds great, but the server chip market is really where the revenue's at, and the competition is really heating up in the server chip market these days. Microsoft, ticker MSFT. Microsoft Corp has agreed to buy the artificial intelligence company Nuance Communications for $16 billion. That's $56 a share for holders of Nuance Corp. Let's take a look at some option headlines that are hitting the tape. We're expecting to see some increased volatility today in the bank stocks ahead of earnings that are due out this week. Also of note is the pending Coinbase IPO, which is interesting to me and is triggering some vol moves, such as Riot blockchain, ticker RIOT, Richie, Inside, Oscar, Tom. The 30-day option implied volatility is at 194. Compare that to the 52-week range of 98 to 274. It's kind of in the middle, but I could see Riot blockchain seeing some gains today. Squared, that's ticker SQ. This is a 30-day option implied volatility where it's at 55. Look at that 52-week range, 48 to 85. It's on the low end. Squared is interesting. FDA alerts, some additional ones besides the Johnson & Johnson that we've been talking about. Lilly, their lung cancer drug candidate, it was announced, met their phase 3 primary endpoints. Watch shares of Merck today. There's going to be an FDA decision. It's expected today. Now, they have an SBLA out there for its Keytruda-based treatment. This thing could move. This is a blockbuster drug for them. Ticker CERE, Charlie Edward, Richard Edward. They're reporting $125 million non-dilutive financing deal with NovaQuest and Bain Capital. This is very positive for ticker CERE this morning. Guidance alert. My guidance alerts went off on Danaher. This is ticker DHR, David Henry Richard. Company provided an update on the first quarter 2021 financial performance this morning. They're seeing first core revenue growth above the high end of their prior guidance. So the prior, consensus was $6.13 billion. So you're going to see shares of DHR trading higher today. Let's talk about some events. Yesterday we had that event at the White House for the semiconductor industry. The top White House officials met with the top executives of nearly 20 major chip manufacturers to discuss a semiconductor deal and the shortage that's going on that's basically caused some real concerns in the automobile industry. It was more of a fluff piece meeting. Nothing really substantial came out of this meeting. NVIDIA, on the other hand, they did have that shareholders meeting yesterday, and they gave investors reasons to cheer as the company announced its first-line data center processors and expects to exceed their first quarter revenue forecast. So, NVIDIA, that was a big shareholders meeting yesterday. But what about today? Bank of New York, that's ticker BK, Boy Kilo. They have an investors day today that starts at 9 a.m. Ticker AOS, Apple Oscar Sam, that's A.O. Smith Company. They have a shareholders meeting as well that starts today at 9 a.m. This is interesting. Cubic Corp, ticker CUB, Charlie Underboy. Their shareholder meeting starts at 11 a.m. and is worth watching. It's worth paying some attention to. Hewlett Packard, ticker HPQ, Happy Paul Quinton. Their shareholder meeting starts at 5 p.m. this afternoon. So that's what I'm watching today, Shane.
Well, moving into our Trade Talk picks for today, I'm picking JP Morgan, ticker JPM. This is one I want to get in under $155 a share. It's an earnings play. They've got an expected EPS of $3.09. And I think they could run up into the close today. I wouldn't hold through it. I'd sell it at the close, see what we can get going into the earnings tomorrow morning, because I don't expect it to hold, but I expect to see a rise if we can get in at 155 up through the end of the day. So I think it could be a good move. What's your pick looking like, Bill?
Well, I'm going with JBHT. This is JB Hunt and Company. It's a trucking firm. They're also releasing tomorrow morning. Now, I'm expecting this thing to continue its move higher. Today the stock is priced for a 4.3% move. I was tracking the option data, and it was very positive. We're looking at a 2.18 call put ratio. I see multiple price target raises that went into the stock this morning. Last quarter, they delivered a 14-cent beat on earnings. So, yeah, I'm going with JBHT. I'm thinking that, it might open up a little lower this morning. So if I can pick up stock under 171, that would be excellent. And I'm looking for a nice beat from JBHT tomorrow morning when they release earnings.
Let's go ahead and move into what's hot off the press. So this is the news that's hitting the tape as we speak that will be moving the stocks today. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Looking at our newswire alerts, seeing the headlines streaming in. Bill, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about?
Here's one on OPEC. OPEC predicts recovery in oil markets will absorb its extra supply. Here's one on DraftKings, and it's kind of interesting because you just mentioned the buyout in that sports gaming arena. DraftKings is discussing a potential deal with Action Networks.
Public Storage acquires, and that's ticker PSA, is acquiring Easy Storage for $1.8 billion.
Coca-Cola, ticker KO, they're announcing the rollout of Powerade sports freezer bars.
It's a great idea.
BlackBerry and IBM are establishing a new partnership.
Carlisle, ticker CG, is set to acquire a majority stake in Beauty Counter.
See Norvax, it's ticker NVAX. They're climbed up 9% in the pre-market after that J&J vaccine notice. And here's an interesting one. This is a Canadian airline. Feds take stake in Air Canada as airline taps LEEFF for a $5.9 billion, looks like a buyout, loan.
Chevron, ticker CVX, and Honeywell, ticker HON, have initiated a startup on a processing unit for a specific type of alkylate.
Now, here, this is just kind of interesting. Nancy Pelosi's husband's buying Roadblocks and Microsoft stock.
Looks like Lion Group, ticker LGHL, is acquiring Lion FinTech Group. We talked about gaming and leisure and Bally's earlier, but it looks like now Gaming and Leisure Properties is acquiring some of Bally's assets for $150 million. Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing.
Same here. That's going to do it for what's hot off the press. Traders, keep in mind you can receive the same breaking stories that we do simply by subscribing at newswire.com. Check us out for a free trial today. It will definitely up your trading game. Moving into our Trade Talk scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Monday. I had Alibaba, ticker BABA. It opened at $237.89 and had some nice and steady gains all the way up to $244.71 for a 2.86% high. So it was a good move for us. How'd yours end up doing, Bill?
Well, I went with Goldman yesterday because, market looked okay. Everything looked good. Now, the stock opened up at $332.94, which is higher than I expected it to open up at. But that next thing, it rounds up to $334.48 for a $1.80 move. Take that money, you take that dollar gain, you walk away. Stock eventually closed at $331.84. The trade easily beat the $1 move expectation. So it was an okay play. Not a fabulous home run, but it was a good play. It was a moneymaker.
Nice. Both making money. That's how you deal with newsware. So that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. But traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there and let's make some green.